Elizabeth, real question. Is it better to be dead than go on living in a man's world?
I mean, yes, it is. I do think that it probably is true that I'd rather be dead than living in a man's world in theory.
In theory.
But here I am living in one.
You are. But you know what? It takes a lot of chutzpah to drive your convertible off a cliff rather than succumb to the injustice of being a woman. That's right, folks. I'm Adrienne, and this is Don't Ruin This For Me. And today we are talking about an iconic opus to female rage and female friendship, Thelma and Louise. Spoiler alert. Elizabeth, what'd you think about that ending?
Oh my God, the ending. Okay, so we've been talking because you and I have been very stressed out the last couple of weeks, right? But I think one of the things that I love about you and I love about this podcast is that we're a team, right? We're a team. We're two ladies who just fucking love each other.
Right.
And I found the ending really confusing because I thought to myself, I don't know if I'd do it. I don't know. I don't know if I'm ready to be killed at any point.
Okay.
And definitely not like in this Ford Thunderbird.
Okay, real question. If our car is driving off the cliff,
yes,
who's driving? You or me?
Oh, definitely you. It has to be you.
Really?
I cannot partake in any of my own death. I feel like it has to happen by someone else's hand.
Well, you know what? This makes sense because Gina Davis is clearly the more like 70 person, and you know Susan Sarandon is like the responsible, and she gives her those plaintive eyes, and she's like, "Fucking just kill me."
I honestly was like, I don't know if I had to choose between death and prison, I'd probably want to go to prison.
Yeah, well, that's what I've said. I said to you, I texted you, you've always wanted to be a prison bitch.
No, you got that. I never said that I wanted to be a prison bitch. This is like I'm going to die or I go to prison.
Right, those are the options.
I want to date a prison bitch.
Remember when I got that book for you, Prison Ramen?
I love that book. I read it from cover to cover, and you know I don't read.
Where were they making? It was just like recipes inmates came up with. They just had a lot of ramen.
Yeah, so there. Yes,
I didn't even read it. Adrienne. I saw it, and I was like, you know who will love this? Elizabeth.
Debbie, I can't believe you don't know the ins and outs of prison life.
I don't.
After watching Oz.
I didn't watch that shit.
You didn't watch Oz?
No, that's too dark
that's too
for
dark
me.
For you.
Yeah, you know, I don't like fucking people being murdered.
Yeah, no, they like use things to like hook up to make like their own stoves using like tables.
In their rooms.
Yes, like tables, or they use microwaves.
Yeah.
The book is excellent. And there's I recommend everyone who's listening to the podcast.
Prison Ramen.
Read it.
I don't even know where the hell I got it, but people should get it. But anyway, Thelma and Louise.
Do we ever go off topic, Adrienne?
No. Well, I mean, listen, prison came up. Their options were death or prison. That was it.
That's true.
Or possibly death and prison. You know, like they get shot up when they get out of the convertible.
Oh, yeah.
You know,
like,
so
they made it.
Right. So they took death into their own hands.
All right, we'll get back to
it. We'll get back to it. Anyway, it's in case you don't know, Thelma and Louise stars Gina Davis and Susan Sarandon as two disenchanted Arkansan gals who hit the road for a little fun until things go wildly off the rails, and then they end up on the lam. Oh, and Brad Pitt is there too.
I know. And, you know, honestly, I have to tell you, it's not only was it his breakout role, but I also had this whole moment where I was like, not that I ever fight with you about Brad Pitt.
Sometimes you do, but
yes, but I think he's super, super hot. But this is the first time where I was like,
yeah,
I get Adrienne's lust for him.
Yeah, he's very charismatic.
Oh, he's so charismatic, and he's so like a little cute butt, and he's so young. I mean,
he was really
awful,
speaking through his teeth a lot, like.
Who doesn't love a man in a cowboy hat and like an accent? Mm-hmm. Anyway, Thelma and Louise. I'm just like, my mouth is starting to water, and I'm like, should I keep talking? Because next thing you know, I'm gonna be slobbering all over this mic. It's just awful.
Yes, you have to.
Yes. Thelma and Louise is a movie about the power of miles and friendship. Mm-hmm. So we knew exactly who to ask to join us today.
Yes, we did.
I'm so psyched about this. Actually, we've talked about having these two people on our podcast before.
And we just gave them so much shit before the recording started. We just really gave them a trial by fire.
I was like, I don't know if we gave Julia so much, but we definitely gave some to Amanda.
Yeah. Well, we'll lean in during the pod.
Julia Thiel and Amanda Myers are not only besties, but they're the heart and the soul of our bike team, Team Tuff Muff. And who better than to talk about road tripping and friendship with than these two gals who I love and adore in so many ways.
Yes. And you know what? I'm really excited to chat with you guys. And really, I'm excited to relive all the times everyone had to pull their bicycles over because I was laying down on the side of the road. You're like, is Adrian going to make it? But first, before we do that, we gotta recap the film. And ladies, please feel free to jump in.
Yeah. Are we going to shoot the shit about any kind of pop culture shit
well,
that
we
have?
can
I don't
if you
even
want.
know.
Do
if
you
I
have anything?
I mean, honestly, I've been so depressed the last 2 weeks. It doesn't really matter.
Tell us why you're depressed.
Well, I'm depressed because I rode 104 miles on my bicycle in one day.
You did. I mean, that's not something to be depressed about.
It is in terms of like my body hurts. I'm miserable. I have some personal things going on with my family that's super, super sad. I haven't written my newsletter in 2 weeks. That makes me like disappointed in myself.
It'll come back.
And what else? I 100% will tell you that I'm still very therapeutically living my life through SVU. This week I got Pam Grier on the show. What? That was super exciting. Okay. I don't know if I told the audience about when I got Hillary Duff.
No, you definitely didn't.
Hillary Duff, BB Newworth, all on the same
I love
show.
BB Newworth.
Yes. What has happened to her? Where's she gone?
Oh my God, are you kidding? She was on Julia on HBO Max. Julia Child. She played the best friend. She was fucking great.
I didn't. Another friendship movie.
Yeah.
Oh, well, let's keep that on our minds. What about you?
What about me? What? I watched all of Selling Sunset, but by the time this comes out, people are going to be like, okay.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, we're really behind this season.
You know what? We're going to revisit our pop culture moments. We got to at least get on a faster schedule of release because otherwise we're like, so we watched Game of Thrones, you know?
Have you ever seen the show called The Flintstones?
I mean, I'm also very into Succession as well, obviously.
Are you you're nearing the end?
Yes, in 2 days on Sunday.
Oh my God. How do you feel?
I'm very excited. I'll probably start watching it all from the beginning again.
Oh, I love that. I love the rewatch before the finale moment. I love doing that.
Yeah.
All right. So back to Thelma and Louise.
Fuck it. What happened on this movie?
Yeah.
Okay, it opens with Susan Sarandon, Louise, who's a diner waitress, smoking in the back, calling her friend Thelma.
Yes.
Yeah.
And when she's calling her friend, they are discussing whether or not they're going to go up to a cabin for the weekend.
Yeah. Road
because
trip.
her boss has offered the cabin up to all the people who are his friends.
Yeah.
You know, friends, Amanda.
Okay. I'll never let that down.
No, stop giving her shit.
Okay, wait. Now I'm a little confused. Thelma is the one who is Gina Davis? Or
yeah.
Okay. So
Jesus Christ.
I know. You know, I like to go by the celebrity names, which I know is not fair to the celebrities.
We can, but Thelma and Louise are kind of like
they're iconic.
But it's fine to say
right.
Susan Sarandon and Gina Davis, who, by the way, acting's stellar in this. This movie
So
could
good.
have
Acting
been.
is actually really good.
This movie would have tanked if Hilary Duff was in it.
Absolutely.
Yeah. You know, you got to have
Selena Gomez. No, absolutely
These two,
not.
I totally believe are besties.
Yeah.
And they're both just like serving it, you know?
And I think one of the greatest bestie moments is like they settle that up right at the beginning. They're like, Thelma or Louise calls Thelma, and Thelma is in the middle of cooking dinner for her husband and trying to get him out the door. And he is a piece of shit person.
Yeah. Of course, his name is Daryl.
Yes, he's yelling at everybody and he's being miserable and he's like dismissing Thelma. And, you know, Louise is like, did you tell Daryl that we're leaving? And she's like, I didn't.
Yeah.
And, you know, Louise is like, you got to do it. Like, we're going. We are going. There's no question about it.
She says, geez, Thelma, is he your husband or your father? It's just 2 days,
So
for
good.
Christ's sake. Well, and listen, not wrong.
Yeah.
If any of my friends were dicks about this, I'd be like, what the fuck are you talking about?
And we're seeing that whole dynamic of like
Yeah.
women working, like,
Yeah.
you know, one's a waitress and she's like really busy at her job. And then Thelma's really busy doing her thing. And then here comes Louise rolling up in a bright blue, like
So amazing.
convertible 1966, because I looked it up, Ford Thunderbird. And I was like, this is going to be a fucking great trip.
And they bring all this fishing gear, which I think is just priceless.
Yes. Yes. Gina Davis packs the car with everything she's ever owned. She's got a net. She's got a gun.
Yeah.
She's got fucking everything.
She doesn't know how to fish, doesn't know how to fire a gun.
No, she doesn't give a
brings
shit,
all
but
that
they're going
shit.
to the mountains.
Yeah.
And Louise is like, "Hey, why are you bringing that gun?" And Thelma's like, "I don't know, but Daryl always gave it to me, so I'm going to keep
She's
it
like,
with me."
you hold it.
Yes.
And
she's
like,
holding it, with her two forefingers.
Yes.
Yeah. So then they head off and they're on their road trip and they're starting and everything seems okay until Thelma's like, "Please, Louise, let's go and go have some fun."
I mean, literally every bad thing happens from Thelma's bad decisions.
I know.
Like for the first
She's so
half.
naive.
Yeah, she's like, let's go to the bar. So they go to the bar. They're drinking, right? And immediately a grody dude named Harlan comes up. He's hitting on Gina Davis. They're line dancing, of course.
Yes.
She's gotten too drunk. She goes outside. And we have the inciting incident.
Yes, which is awful. It was very hard.
Can I
for me.
point out
good.
though that I
Yeah.
realized that I guess maybe since he didn't have roofies, he used the spin the drunk lady, which I was like, fucked up.
Yeah, it's like very nefarious.
Yeah.
And at this point, they're definitely establishing that one's a little bit wilder than the other. Even though I thought both characters are very endearing.
Yes.
So Thelma is out there with Harlan, and Harlan's like, "You gotta give me some," and she's like, "I'm not gonna give you any. Like, let me go." And things escalate to the point where he is like full on, and please, this is a trigger warning to anyone who's listening because it's pretty gross and I found it very upsetting. And Adrian and I were both like, last night I was like, I'm not really in the mood for this. And then Adrian texted me today and she was like, "Oh, was it the rape scene that triggered you?"
Yeah.
It was like, oh.
I was like, maybe that's why you didn't like it. My favorite part of the rape scene is when he's, literally trying to rape her and her friend comes out and is like, "Stop that." He's like, "Go away."
Has a gun to your neck.
Well, then she puts the gun to his head.
Yeah.
But like at first, he's like as if someone walked up and
It's not
he
a big
could
deal.
just tell them to leave.
Yeah.
It's what's also wild is like they really do, as lightly as they take it. It's not probably as graphic as some of the movies I've seen since then, but it is pretty graphic
It's
for
hard to
time.
watch. It's hard to watch.
Yeah,
like
it's not good.
there's a full on, again, another trigger warning is about violence is that he full on punches her in the face,
Yeah.
and no one wants to see Gina Davis punched in the face.
No.
It's so gross. My stomach turned. I was very upset. He flips her over onto the table, onto the car, and then is about to do his thing when our girl.
Yeah, Louise shows up. She puts the gun to his forehead
Yes.
and is like, "Go fuck yourself." He releases Gina Davis, but then this motherfucker just can't shut the fuck up.
He can't.
Right.
No.
Nope.
So he's talking shit. I think he calls her a fucking bitch. She shoots him dead.
He says, "Suck my dick," I think.
Oh, yeah. That's
Yeah, it's awful. Yeah.
ugh, not great.
And she's
the
like,
men
"Fuck
in this
you."
movie are not great.
No. We tried to find the one, and we have a. We'll talk
What,
about
the
later.
one
Yeah.
decent guy?
Yeah.
The cop.
The cop,
Yeah.
which is so fucked up.
Yeah.
It has to be like if it's a
Well,
cop.
It's still the one cop out of all the cops.
I know.
Yeah.
It's so fucked up.
We'll get to that later.
So so then the gals are now like running for their lives,
Yes.
right? Because they're like,
Yes.
we've shot this man, and Thelma's like face is bloody, she's a mess, and she's like upset and shaken and can't really figure out what just happened. Louise is like, "We just got to get out of here. We got to get out of here."
Yeah,
and then
she
at
wants
some
to go to
point-
the police, but
Right.
Louise is a realist. She's like, this world doesn't care about women.
That is 100% true. And at that
No
point,
one's going to believe us.
Yes, and at that point, I wanted to get up out of my couch and just like clap, like
Yeah.
a slow clap, Louise, because I
Yeah.
was like, yes. And she was like, "Look, you were seen with this guy dancing. You were
Cheek to
drinking
cheek.
a lot. This is all
Right,
going to
you
look
let him
bad for
dance
you."
with her.
Yeah.
With you.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Louise has this plan. They're going to run away to Mexico, and like maybe Gina Davis is going to come too because like her husband fucking sucks, and like it would be more fun to go to Mexico. But they don't have any money. So Susan Sarandon calls her boyfriend, who's a musician, who's pretty hot, but also
Michael Madsen.
You can't
What's
fucking.
up, babe?
You can't pin him down.
No.
you
No.
can't pin him down. But she's like, you need to Western Union me my entire savings of $6,700.
It's a lot.
This
Back
movie is
then.
1991.
And she's a waitress.
And she's got this car. I was like, you know what? This bitch is responsible.
yeah.
You know?
No, she's all business.
Yes,
she's
she's-
like, "I got to get my life together."
Yes. So he's going to wire her the savings. And then next thing you know, we run into literally Brad Pitt.
Oh, so hot.
He's so hot.
So hot.
He's so hot.
And
He's
so-
got a rucksack. you know, with his belongings.
He's wearing boots.
He's like,
some
will
denims.
you ladies help me get back to school?
That's exactly how he sounded.
Yeah. Of course, Louise says no, but then eventually they let him in the car.
Yeah, because they
see
run into him again.
Yeah. How do they do that?
There's a lot of weirdness with the
Yeah.
seeing of the semi
The
driver,
semi, yeah.
and like they
Yeah.
leave before Brad. So I don't. But listen, let's not fuck with it.
Right.
We want Brad.
We
back.
want
Brad.
there.
Yeah.
We want
and
him back.
especially because we get sooner or later we get to Brad being topless. And I think that
we
that's all,
need
we
that.
all needed that.
Yes.
Except Julia. Julia's like, I didn't really need that.
I asked Julia.
Actually, Amanda, we watched it together last night.
Just for the
and
audience,
Amanda
Julia
turned
is a
to me.
lesbian.
Yes. She turned and she's like, do you see? I was like, yeah. I can
No
appreciate
one can
Brad Pitt.
resist Brad Pitt. No one. Anyway, so they stop to pick up the money at Western Union, and oh my God, who is there but the boyfriend?
Yes, Jimmy.
Yes. So they all go back to a hotel, and you know they get Gina Davis her own room, and they're like, guard this money with your life.
Yeah.
And she's like, I got okay.
I love it. Louise trust her.
Yes.
I know, like Louise,
unwaveringly.
what has it made you think that you can trust this woman?
Jimmy brought the money, so he's not going to steal it. Like,
Right,
Why don't you
yeah.
just keep in that room?
I don't know, but
Yeah.
she's cock blind.
But she's had some history with Jimmy, and he wasn't showing up for her like he should have
No.
prior to this whole thing.
Yeah.
Otherwise, maybe she wouldn't have went on this trip
Yeah.
because
True.
she kept trying to call him. He wasn't picking up the phone.
Yep.
You know, what the fuck was he doing?
And listen, I thought he was really hot until he started like destroying the hotel.
When he had a temper tantrum.
yeah, I was like, okay, maybe not. And then he has a ring too. He's like, let's get married.
Right. And she's like, no.
Yeah.
This scene between Jimmy and Louise made me think, you know, this is definitely like Adrian's role in this film.
Oh.
Because
Which part?
Because the moment he had the temper tantrum and she just stands next to the door and she's like, I am not doing this. I would have been like on my back in a second. And Adrian would be like,
Have you
no.
not learned anything from this podcast? We have been recording millions of fucking episodes. We started
talk
with
about this
Tommy
all the
Lee. She's
time.
like, oh my God, if you fucking, you throw something. I'm like, what the fuck? No.
Passionate.
No.
You guys.
Anyway, so Brad Pitt comes back and he knocks on Gina Davis's door and he's like,
she is losing it.
She's like, are you an outlaw? And he's like, you stealing my heart.
Oh my God.
I don't know why I'm giving you Forrest Gump, but that's
I kind of was kind of Forrest Gumpy.
yeah.
I've also developed some weird Southern accent off and on.
Listen, I'm not from
Recap.
Arkansas.
It's fine. All right.
Yeah. So anyway, she's like, "What do you do?" And he's like, "I'm a robber."
Yes. And they describe.
He demonstrates with a hairdryer the
amazing.
exact way he robs people, and she's like, "Fuck it, let's fuck."
She's like, that's hot.
Yeah, it was hot.
Well, what's funnier is later on when she leaves. So they fuck, and then
Yeah.
they end up the next morning. We see Thelma and Louise having breakfast. You know, and they're saying goodbye to Jimmy and whatnot. And it dawns on Louise to be like, "Hey, where's this dude?" And she's like, "Oh, he's in the bedroom.
He's
like
in the
hotel
shower."
And Louise is like, "Oh, well, what's happened to the money?" And Thelma is like, "What?"
She's like, "He
It's
wouldn't take
okay.
it." She said it's on the nightstand.
Yeah, it's on the nightstand with this bank robber.
This was
robber.
this
guy
was your
who's
best
established
plan. The nightstand. But listen, if Brad Pitt came to my house,
you
I would just be like, I guess take the money. I mean, like, what would you do? Like, it just like you couldn't think straight.
I am telling you right now that if Brad Pitt was like, Elizabeth, you get 45 minutes with me with $6,700, I'm selling my Subaru. I have some comic books that are valuable. Like,
and
everything's
he's
going.
not even your type.
He's not.
He didn't throw anything. He didn't even say anything mean.
No. He's fine, except he steals your money. And I also like men like that.
Yeah. That's true. Jesus Christ. Anyway, Louise loses her shit, and Thelma, you know what? She has to grow up a little and take
does.
charge.
This is the first
She's got to
moment.
take
Yeah.
charge.
This I think is the part of the film that I start to like really pay attention and care about.
And at the same time, the cops are closing in, and I have to say,
Harvey Keitel.
I have to say, there are a lot of police for this one asshole murder.
Police.
Who everyone has said is like
A known asshole.
Right, they're like, he's a dick. We're not surprised. Even the waitress at the bar was like, I expected Harlan to die in this
By his wife, I was hoping.
Yes. But so anyway, Thelma is so upset, about this money and everything. She says she's never been lucky one day in her life. And I was like, girl, I fucking relate to this. But she,
She's also not very smart.
Yeah.
Well,
Also
yes.
not lucky.
Yes, but she's going to take the power into her own hands. So they stop by like a
market.
and she uses Brad Pitt's tutelage to rob everybody. And it's very pleasant.
Yes, it's awesome.
It's so calm.
Yes.
Yes, and then
adorable.
She's so nice.
This is really where she gets in a lot of trouble with the police, because at this point, Harvey Keitel is like, look, we just see you guys as witnesses to this murder,
And now-
so we've got to ask you questions. But now we have this videotape of Thelma robbing this little market.
Yes.
Also, where's this market in the middle of nowhere have this
know.
videotape that somehow gets transmitted to Arkansas? Again, we're not
Lot of
asking
holes,
the
lot
questions.
of holes.
Who cares? Who cares? Next thing you know, Brad Pitt is back. He's been picked up by the cops. And he spills all the information. The girls are going to Mexico, and he's like, they're like, where'd you get this $6,700? He's like, a friend. Fucking love him. So anyway, then Louise has this great plan that Thelma should call her husband to find out,
if the police are chasing him, and if he knows anything about the chase and what they might know.
Right.
And he is being tapped at this point and being checked out for
Can
lying.
we first just comment on the scene where the cop tells him his wife has maybe murdered and now robbed someone, and then he is like, what? And then all of a sudden the camera pans down to him standing in pizza.
Like, you're standing in the pizza.
He's a fucking douche.
He's an awful person.
And so she calls him, and he says, "Hi, Thelma," really nicely. And then she's like, "He knows."
And hangs up. Yes. And that's how you know that Thelma now has entered the game.
Yes.
And Louise calls back because she's like, I'm going to talk to these guys and see what's up. And they're like, well, what's going on? Tell us what's happening. And she's just like being mysterious for some reason. She's like, I'll let
trust
you
a
know.
cop.
Yeah, of course. But she's going to tell him eventually anyway.
Who, the cop?
Yeah, and she does eventually tell him.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, so then they get in the car again, because they're in the car lot. It's very beautiful.
Yes, it's
This
always sunny. It's gorgeous. Thelma and Louise
There's a
are
lot of
looking at
rain,
each other.
too.
Yeah, they're looking at each other with like love eyes.
Yes.
Like, you're my best friend.
And I got to say, their outfits keep getting better.
Oh my God.
And their hair.
Their hair.
Yes. I'm like, how are they
hair
doing
looks
this in a
so good.
convertible? Elizabeth texted me and was like, maybe we'll get a convertible this summer and like go on a road trip. And listen, we have been inspired by TV before.
We went to Scotland because we watched Outlander.
100%. And all I could think was like, my hair does not do well in a convertible. It gets very tangled. And then like, you can't keep a hat on. I've never figured that out. So I don't know. We'll see.
Susan Sarandon had
Yeah,
one
she
with
put
a
a
little
little
clipping
Oh, yeah.
over
She did,
her
yeah.
cowgirl hat.
Yeah.
However, they do. Both of them look fantastic
All the time, the entire time. Their outfits are so sexy. They're
especially towards the
sexily
end.
dirty.
Yes.
Thelma gets hot towards the end.
Yes.
Yes, both. I thought both of them are smoking.
Yeah. Well, she's wearing that denim shirt, which I thought was Brad Pitt's.
Oh.
Maybe.
I'm not sure, but it was like too big when she went to breakfast, and then later she cut the sleeves off, and then later she tied it up.
Oh yeah, and Louise is like walking around in a white tank top with
nipples.
no bra,
Nipples out.
I was like, yummy.
Red lipstick and no bra. I mean,
I know. I was super fucking. I wore a white shirt today because I was inspired.
Is that why?
Yes, I was like, I can wear a white shirt. I can't
shit.
take my bra off because in this white shirt, it's like you can already see my nips, but like, and it's padded. I got a padded bra.
Hey, in case this is a great time to say, in case people didn't know, they also put these podcast episodes up on YouTube. Yeah. So, like, if you're interested
I don't know if you can see 'em,
in
but
trying to see Elizabeth's
everyone.
nipples, we could also post that on our Instagram.
Yeah, just my nipples.
Yeah, we need
My kids will love
followers.
that. My kids will love it.
They're used to this. Anyway, the next big scene is they get pulled over for speeding by a cop who's a real dick. He's a
You
real
think he's a dick?
Are you serious? He's like, get out of the car. Get in my car.
That was weird.
Like he's
That was
like
weird.
being
I
all
did have a
aggressive.
moment where I was like, no cop's going to ask you to go into their car.
No, I thought he was going
No.
to do something real
Weird.
bad.
Yeah, so he's got Susan Sarandon in his car, and then Gina Davis, who's now stepped into her power, shows up, and she's like, got a gun on him. And I was like, this bitch.
Yeah,
they
she
thrown
does
say
caution to
sorry.
the wind.
She does say
Yes.
sorry.
Yeah.
And this is what's really important about that scene that brings up the whole nefarious, like kind of these like ominous feelings about it, is that this whole time when they're trying to travel, Thelma is like, the best way for us to get from Arkansas to Mexico is through Texas.
Yeah.
And Louise is like, I'm never going to Texas.
Yeah.
You're
She
like,
said, you don't even talk to me about this again.
Yeah.
Thelma's
They don't
like,
have
that's the only
anything-
way to get to Mexico.
Right. She's like, you really
looking
like
at the map.
this would just make it the easiest way. And Louise is like absolutely fucking not having it. She never fully tells the story, but at some point, Gina Davis, in her power, Thelma says to her, to Louise, she's like, I know what happened to you then.
Yeah, you were raped in Texas.
Yes, and so
she's much more gentle about it.
Yes. Well, that's my Southern accent, girl. It's aggressive. It is mad.
Well, then they have a moment of, solidarity. Yeah. And this whole time, too, this fucking semi-driver. They keep running into him, and he keeps grabbing his crotch at them.
Making
and
that tongue.
Yeah.
Wait, you skipped over what they did to the police officer.
We'll come back. So
going into.
Yeah, so they shoot up the radio. They take his gun. They put him in the fucking trunk. And they
grabbed the Miller Lights.
Yeah.
And Louise, when she grabbed the Miller Lights, I was like, got you, Adrian.
Aww.
You are definitely Louise. Because for anyone who doesn't know, that is Adrian's favorite alcoholic beverage.
I don't think if anyone had to peg who was who in this car, they would all have said I was Louise.
What do you think? You too.
We talked about that too. We're like,
well, early on before Thelma got cool.
Yeah, we were like, we're both Louise.
Yeah, but then Thelma was sort of annoying at the beginning, but then she kind of figures it out.
I mean, I think we can all agree that Elizabeth is Thelma.
I agree with that.
Adrian, can we go to the bar? We have to go to the bar. Adrian, can we pick up this hitchhiker? I love this hitchhiker. Adrian, I'm just gonna fuck this hitchhiker. Oh my god, I can't believe
she would never have left the money.
I would have never left the money.
You never.
And I also would say that at the very beginning, Thelma comes off a little bit like small.
Yeah, you're not nearly as stupid as Thelma, but you would do these things. You'd be like, let's just dance. Let's go to the bar. Let's get the hitchhiker.
You would say, that's fair. There's aspects. I see aspects.
Yes.
Yeah.
You would be like, let's fuck with this semi-driver and pull him over. Like, I would always be the person that's like, let's not do that.
No, that's also fair. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
I would be like, this is a bad
at the beginning when Louise is like smoking and she's just like, I'm this bad bitch gonna take off for the weekend. I was like, I don't know.
Wait, you were
Adrian
thinking
smoking in a convertible? I had a hard time imagining you.
I was a long-term smoker.
Oh.
I'm just an adult and a mother now, and it's not 1991. But if it was socially acceptable, I would be smoking.
I do remember when the cops walked into Louise's apartment or house. Did you not notice was it snow globes? Was there not a collection of snow globes on the table? They always pan to the sink with the one dish. Yeah. But there was also a lot of teeny snow globes.
Right. I only have one dish. And I have a lot of collectibles.
I feel like that felt like more like Adrian maybe in the house.
Maybe. I mean, it's all very complicated.
Well, and we already got to the point that if someone's driving the car off, you're going to look at me plaintively.
I definitely have you do it. Yeah, you
anyway.
So the police officer is now in the trunk. It's locked.
Everything's getting more heightened, heightened. The cops are coming for them.
Now the movie is like starting to be really fun.
Yes, the cops are coming for them. They have this altercation with the semi-driver where they blow up his rig.
It's amazing.
That was fun.
They blow up his fucking rig, and he's like, "You beavers!" Like, what the fuck? He calls them beavers.
She's like, "Did you call me a beaver on your CD?"
I hate to be called a beaver. She's like, I hate it.
And at this point, they've really gotten the police's attention, right? Like now we know everyone is out to get them. They're now starting the police chase, which is the most iconic part of the film, right? This is the scene that everyone knows, and this is part of the covers, the cover of the movie.
It's their car, and then all the cop cars behind in formation, flying through the desert.
Hundreds. I don't know how fast. I don't even know where they are at this point. We know that they're not in Texas, but we also know they're not in Arkansas.
Maybe Arizona, because they mentioned the Grand Canyon.
Yeah, I think.
The Grand Canyon. That's right.
Everything was filmed in Utah. I did some.
There were some beautiful shots.
Yes, gorgeous,
especially in this last section.
And at this point, just so far as the detectives, Harvey Keitel has this whole thing. He has like this love for these two women that he like never really gets fully fleshed out. But he's basically like, they didn't mean to do this. I know that they didn't mean to do this. And so when the cops get to the point where they have all chased them through like the yards and the farms and the like long shots of nothing but desert and
the underpass where the cop cars get stuck.
So great. Low bridges.
So many good scenes.
And they are now at the pivotal point, right? Thelma and Louise are in the car. They have stalled for some reason. The police officers, for some reason, are many, many, many feet away. Yeah. I don't know how far away.
They ran their car up to the edge of the cliff.
Right, but then, but why didn't the police? Like,
because they're getting ready. They're getting ready. They're getting their guns,
out and stuff.
And at the same time, a helicopter is coming out from the ravine to get them. And then they look at each other and they're just like, fuck it. Right? Basically.
Well, they're talking about their options, right?
Yeah,
they're like, we're not going to Mexico, apparently. And either we go to prison
or death. This execution. Like, at this point, they're talking about maybe we'll be executed, too.
Yes.
You're right. And so they're like, what's the next move?
Yeah.
And then what happens?
They drive the fucking car off the cliff.
But they have these like intimate moments that I really like about it's like as friends you can still kiss and then hold hands and like do this together, you know?
Yes, you can kill yourself together.
And the best part is like once they hit the gas pedal and start going off the cliff, we see Harvey Keitel waving at them, trying to which I thought was hilarious.
Can I tell you something
stupid.
Roger Ebert said about the end?
I don't know if you guys know this, but our third co-host is Roger Ebert. We call a spirit often on the show.
From the grave.
What did he say?
He's our hometown boy. Okay, so Roger Ebert likes this movie. A lot of our movies he doesn't like. He hated Fast Times at Ridgemont High.
Or True Romance, which is a similar film.
Well, I fucking hate that one too. Anyway, he says, I would have rated this movie 4 stars instead of 3.5, except for one shot. The last shot before the titles begin. It's unsettling to get involved in a movie that takes 128 minutes to bring you to a payoff that the filmmakers seem to fear. Right, because it's like the car goes off the cliff. You see it for 1 second hovering in air.
The hubcap comes off.
And then it's like, next thing you know, it's a white screen. And then we get a weird montage of Thelma and Louise being besties on this road trip.
They do a flashback to other scenes that you've seen.
Yeah.
I disagree with Roger Ebert actually on this one. Roger, wherever you are today. Because I thought that leaving them mid-air actually leaves a lot of room for imagination.
He's saying they should be mid-air, but they should have like slowed it down and made you watch it for like 8 seconds. Versus this like, they killed themselves. Never mind. Remember, they're best friends.
You don't want to see them crash.
Yeah.
No, I don't think Roger wants to see them crash. But anyway, that's the film.
Yes.
Yes.
And I loved it. I mean, I remembered that I liked it when I was a kid.
Yeah.
Or not a kid at the time, I was a teenager. But I liked it as a young person, and rewatching it, I thought it was slow, but I really still loved it overall. What did you guys think?
I loved it. I loved it. I mean, I remember watching as a kid, but let me tell you, I didn't remember that rape scene. Maybe
I couldn't. I didn't remember that was the trigger for everything either. Even though I've seen this movie in the last 20 years, for sure.
Yeah, that was a hard one. I think you even texted me, and you were like, "Oh, I totally forgot about this too."
Well, and I also this time, like when I finished it, I texted Elizabeth. I was like, "So the central question of this movie is it better to be dead than live in a man's world?" Because like I don't think the last time I saw it that like it was so clear that everything was about women being like subjugated by men.
Yeah, I think that either I was just really kind of in patriarchy when I was a kid, and it was just like, this is normal.
Right, for sure. Yeah, you did dance with him, you whore.
Yeah,
It's like she did do that.
That is, but that's literally how we grew up. That's
yeah.
like all the messaging we got was like, you have to protect yourself from rape at all times.
Yeah.
Which is probably why I won't let people talk to me at a bar.
Honestly. Yeah, that was a long lesson.
Yes.
It took me into my 20s, I think.
Yes. But, Daryl's awful. Jimmy won't commit. Brad Pitt's super hot and he steals her money.
Yeah. And
You
then
know?
he's a bank
and then,
robber.
And then,
or
fit-
like
and
a
then
robber in
narcs
general.
on them completely
Yes.
the minute he can.
Yeah.
I mean, the only one that has any somewhat decency is Harvey Keitel.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's because he believes women, actually. Because he
Right.
says it the whole time. He's like, I don't want to assume that they're like murderous bitches or
Right.
anything like that. He's just like, I think that there must be a story here because this is not making any sense to me.
Yeah.
What do you think about like this film and their friendship? How do you feel about their Julia? You're the one looking at me with those deep green eyes. It's like a little distracted.
I mean, they have an awesome friendship. I still don't know why Louise trusts Thelma when she clearly shouldn't, but they're friends.
She loves her.
Yeah.
She's her
And,
kryptonite.
Thelma does figure it out and pull through. And
Wait, so
They're awesome.
if you guys were driving, who's driving the car off?
Oh, we're taking turns. Oh.
No, driving the car
Oh,
off.
we're jumping back and forth. No,
No. But who's the one that's going to be like,
Interesting.
I'm driving the car off?
I don't know.
I feel like you need to be driving.
I think so too.
Because I feel like I'm more impulsive sometimes. So if I did it, I'd regret it in my death.
I feel like you wouldn't commit to it. Like you commit to the idea.
Yeah, I'd be like, yeah, let's do it. I'd be like, no, we can't do it.
You wouldn't push the pedal.
But I'd be like,
all right, let's do it.
But if I said, I think we need to do it, and you committed, I know it would happen.
Yeah,
it would happen.
Do you feel that way about us? I don't know if either one of us could fully go through it.
No, I would do it.
Yeah, you would?
Well, yeah, if you looked at me and were like, fuck it, we're best friends and like, let's do it, I'd be like, well, fuck it.
Oh my God. I would be like, I can't.
Well, that's why you're driving.
Yeah, that's why I'm going to drive.
That's why you're driving.
Well, you've already fucked me up. You've already taken me on this
You're
road
going
trip.
to prison. You're going to be executed maybe. This is back.
Right.
This is Arkansas in the 90s. Like,
I'm so optimistic though. I would be like, but we have a story and it happened.
No.
I would always hold out that little bit of hope.
Let me tell you,
I might move us forward just to see if Adrian backs out, and then I'd stop. And then I just give up. I think I would just give up.
There was this line.
I'm not a good best friend.
There's this line I really loved when they were like running from the cops earlier on, when they like go under that bridge and lose them, and Thelma's like, well, we've already lost everything we care about. What else do we have to lose? And Louise is like, how do you stay so positive?
Yeah. They're very cute.
They're very
with
quippy.
Their lines.
Yeah.
Yes.
When you guys think about friendship, though, like what do you think works for Thelma and Louise to make them so close to each other? And what do you think you guys have that for each other?
Ooh,
yeah, I know it's a hard one,
question.
Right? I know.
The first thing that comes to my mind is though that when one person,
Amanda's like, I got this.
Well, because the one thing that comes to mind though is like when one person needed the other person to like stand up and take care of business, they did, and I feel like that's what we do. That, you know, like I'm having a bad day. It's like I think like each of us take turns like needing support.
Yeah,
you know, not that it happens magically that way, but I feel like it's similar. You know.
You can't both break down at the same time.
No, you can't. It's a rule in friendship.
Like, only one of you can be sobbing on the hotel room floor.
Yes.
The other one has to be like, all right,
get up. Whoever less fucked up has to be the one who says, okay, we got this.
Yes.
Yeah. But I do think support is a big part of it. And, like, that's what they've done that for, well, I don't know for how long, for their lives before that, clearly.
Ooh.
Like, that's why they're going on this trip together. And then they just kind of keep developing that.
Mm-hmm. We were at one point. I was really curious about their ages, not because I care about women's ages, but because we were kind of like it just felt like I was curious because it felt like Susan was more mature. Louise and Thelma was more naive, and their ages at the time, their actual actor ages, I think Louise was closer to like 45, like Susan, and then Gina was closer to like 35, 36, which
similar to me and Elizabeth.
So I was wondering, is that how they were supposed to be portrayed in the movie? Was Louise supposed to be older?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I feel like Louise probably saw some shit before she met Thelma, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I think that your point about, because Adrian and I have talked about this before, it's like we both can't be depressed at the same time. And when we both are, which has happened, you know, it really fucks up our whole dynamic. Mm-hmm. You know, it takes away... It's this weird thing where it's like we both know that we have to deal with our own issues, right? Like inside of our hearts, we have to like try to heal our hearts. But at the same time, you feel bad because you can't heal the other person's heart. So you end up being like in this kind of weird dynamic where there seems to be, I wouldn't say like an emptiness, but there seems to be like things are off. And you kind of like look at the friendship and you're like, oh, something's not right about the relationship. And also, it's not really that, though, because it's just that you're taking time out to, like, heal yourself. Yeah. And I find that to be very, very hard. And it's probably the thing I hate about having a best friend. No, I'm serious.
No, that makes sense.
I'm just saying, like, it's so painful. I think it's painful to watch your friend hurt. Yeah. And it's painful to, like, be so in your own fucking hurt that you can't, like, deal with it.
That definitely makes sense. I don't think there's anything else to say about that. I feel like that's it. Book closed. We can just stop the podcast.
All right, we can end it here.
Don't you have some helpful hints?
I actually was going to go into like thinking about just like attachment based coping. You know,
please tell us.
Yeah. We love this shit.
You know, and I feel like as adults, we talk about attachment theory and children and babies and how they need to have an attachment figure and they need to feel loved and like taken care of. But adults actually also need that. And usually that's like someone's primary partner. But I think a lot of times with women especially, ends up being like their closest friends, maybe in addition to their partner or, whatever. But I feel like it's like when you're dysregulated, when you're feeling insecure, when you're feeling like you need your attachment person or like your main go-to when they're not doing well, then you're feeling that dysregulation. You also feel bad about their dysregulation, and then you don't get that calming effect from them. So it ends up being, I think, so hard when you and that's why I think that women are better. I mean, we have so many good friends that we can kind of like reach out then and like span our networks so we can have that like comfort,
Yeah. What do men do?
I don't know.
Nothing. I mean, in this movie, nothing.
Right.
Like,
they grab their crotches at women.
And they have each other, so they.
I do wonder about socialized males and how they like handle those moments. I mean, I am a therapist.
They don't. That's why they're a mess.
And I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, we have seen films prior. I mean, I think one of the things that Thelma and Louise was very revolutionary about was that we had seen so many movies like this about men who like, rob banks and they beat each other up and they get involved in like nefarious activities. But like the thing that I think that's so moving here versus any that I had seen with men is that it was about caretaking. Mm-hmm. It was like my friend is in trouble, and not because of her ego and not because, she wants a new life. It was just a very simple, like, someone is physically harming a woman, and that is true. Men hurt women, and that's so that was, I thought, a great way to kind of kick off the whole story. And then it also makes you kind of like feel justified for them.
Oh yeah.
Oh well, yeah, for sure. But even when Thelma fucks up or they fight, there's like a moment after Susan Sarandon shoots Harlan the rapist, and they go to like a restaurant, and she says something that really rubs Thelma the wrong way, like sort of like insinuating that this was all Thelma's fault, right? Mm-hmm. But like, even at all these moments, Thelma loses the money, like yada yada. The way they express frustration, but they still always like respect and handle each other in a way that's like, that's how it's a fucking friendship movie.
Yeah.
Do you guys ever get into conflicts, the two of you?
No. Yeah. I mean, we have, but we don't really.
I feel like Amanda said no, and Julia was like, yeah.
No, it's the opposite. I was like, no, and Amanda said
I feel like, because it's not like we've never. Yeah. But I feel like
we annoy each other sometimes.
Yeah, I feel like because we've known each other for so long, and we're just very good at.
And how long has that been though? Again,
2007, so 16 years.
16 years.
Yeah, that's a long time.
Yeah. But I feel like you've modeled like just very direct communication, and I feel like it's very helpful for me to know where you're at. And I've like done the same back. It feels like, oh, this is like how you communicate. That's really nice, I don't feel like it's that easy all the time with friendships, but I feel like it's pretty easy.
Yeah. I think we've also both kind of learned to communicate over the years, not just with each other, just, in life. You kind of like
that's a getting
learn
older
over time, like how to communicate with people in the world. And so I don't think it's ever been difficult to be friends, but I think it's gotten easier because we can be really direct with each other.
Yeah.
Where did you learn to be direct like that? If Amanda's saying that you kind of taught that to her, I'm curious where that came from for you.
I have no idea. I definitely did not learn it growing up.
I just feel like this is the difference. I feel like maybe we both have anxiety in different ways, but the way I have anxiety is like I overthink everything I possibly could say to someone just to ask for what I need. But I feel like you're just like, this is what I need. I'm like, oh. Oh, I could do that. I'm like, this
You're
is
like,
what I
wait,
need.
you can just say it
without word. Okay.
but like, what if the person doesn't like it,
And what if they misinterpret it? And what if they,
what if it was too
how many
much?
times do I have to say I'm sorry first before I say what I want?
all of that. And I was like, no, Julia just says it. And I know if I just say it back, she'll be okay with it. And that's
How did you feel comfortable with that though? Like, what in you was like when Julia was like that for you the first time that you realized that something in you must have been like, okay, like this is cool. I like this.
Yeah. I don't know. I think because I am so anxious about interactions, I feel like when I notice that she would ask me something that wasn't coming from a place of like irritation or resentment, and I was like, oh, people do that. And it just feels different, you know, like, and at first, of course, you're carrying your baggage from other interactions. And maybe for a long time, maybe I'd even tell you, I'd be like, oh, Julia's mad at me. This is probably back, you know, a long time
Julia's making pottery, totally oblivious. She's
like, what's happening? And then I realize, again, like over time, you're just like, oh no. Like our interactions are exactly the same. There's nothing different. It's just in my head.
Yeah.
And so I think there was this like a moment at some point, and I can't tell you when that was, but it definitely wasn't right away. I mean, for me, because I have a lot going on.
I don't know that I would have said you were an anxious person.
Oh.
Would you have?
Yeah, I do. I would.
Well, I think when we met, though, I was filled with such anxiety that, like, you know, everybody else seemed pretty chill to me.
That's fair. I didn't actually think you were anxious either, by the way.
Well, because you couldn't even see me. I was miles behind. You guys had left. I was on this fucking steel bike that we called Brad Pitt.
Yeah.
Full circle.
Brad Pitt lives in my basement.
Yeah, that
Oh
we
my
called him
gosh.
that because I was riding him. That was the joke.
And now her new bike is Stanley Tucci.
Yes.
Who she likes to ride. Like, I would say, you think it's a better ride on Stanley.
Yeah. Nicer guy. Lighter. It's lighter all around. But we should talk about how we all met. And, like, we've been on road trips together.
Yes.
We have.
Just on bicycles. And I feel like they've been dramatic. We haven't murdered anyone. We haven't been arrested. But I feel like we've had our own dramas.
Oh, of course.
I feel like we've had our own awakenings. Maybe that's just me.
Yeah.
On the bike.
Well, you know, I'm a huge fan of the bike philosophy life.
It's so embarrassing when you say any of this out loud.
know.
Not just you, that's the general you. But then, like, when you're doing it, it's like, yeah, this is what it is.
Yes, for the audience, basically, I had decided to form a bike team back in like 2016, I think, and I knew Julia through my husband because they used to work together.
The Chicago Reader.
Yeah, and then I put out like a Facebook post, basically being like, let's all ride bikes together and create this bike gang. And all of us came together. And our whole thing was being like middle-aged people who are not that great at athletics and would ride our bikes wherever the hell we wanted to, which has been like Indiana, Wisconsin, Ohio. You and I went to Ohio.
There were some ill-planned rides.
Yes.
That we've been on
Indiana.
together.
Yes.
Like, I mean, like every year this one would be like, oh, we're going to ride to the dunes. It's no biggie.
It's a big biggie.
No
It's a big
biggie. And then we'll just take the train
95
back.
degrees.
We rode there. It was like
I cannot control.
it was like 80. It was like
Better, Elizabeth.
It was like 80 miles, 95 degrees, no shade.
And hills.
Hills. I remembered at one point that we saw a shopping cart in the grass.
I wasn't there for this one, but I love this.
You were there. Yeah. And we pulled over. And did we put you in the shopping cart?
I think we kept Kathy. Was it
Yeah,
Kathy?
I think I was on the front of the shopping
The whole
cart.
point is that like there were definitely these moments where it was like we will all die unless something funny happens with this shopping cart right now. And so Elizabeth would make us ride the whole fucking way there. I'd want to die. It was so fucking hot, and the whole way you're like, we're just gonna walk into the lake. It's gonna be so fucking great. And then we would get there, and we would just have to leave to get on.
Oh my god, yes, because that summer was so hot.
Yes.
we were so hot that we're also really good at keeping with the safety rules of biking because we're all rule followers. But we like took off like our helmets, we took off our jerseys. We're like,
I was in a sports bra with my gut out. I mean, picture this, an Enneagram 3 out in public. Like, this was very hard for me. I do feel like, though, on those trips, and then we did that Wisconsin thing, also too fucking hot.
Yes, where I threw up on the hill.
No, when we did Cowalunga.
Oh, Cowalunga, yes, very hot, very
was
hot.
very hot.
And I got heat stroke and had to be put in the van. I was
It
never
was
a
all
good
miserable.
cyclist.
I will tell you, the heat, once the heat is introduced, it's always
agree.
awful. The one thing, though, I think about our like long distance riding has always been that it's been in the spirit of having fun in the best way.
I agree.
And it didn't always end up that way, for sure. I'm sure there was times where like Thelma and Louise were on this like fucking like car trip and being
think
like,
there were
oh
moments
my
they
god,
had doubt?
right? They were like, oh my god, what am I gonna do now? But I think there's something that really does bond people when we're doing rides like that.
Yeah.
Like, it really connects us.
Yeah.
Because we do see each other like at our best and at our worst. You know, and when you're able to be friends with people that you're like, I just yelled at you for 20 minutes because I fucking hate the heat.
It was always my favorite when someone else would break down.
Well, there was a time where I got 3 flat tires.
Yeah. Oh, with Dave.
Yes, and on a ride.
And it was raining.
It was raining. And I just remember everyone was being so nice and supportive about it because we finally realized that my actual tire was fucked, obviously.
But when it took the 3rd flat.
We were so motivated. We're like, you know what? I think I'm just
Fuck it, we'll do it.
I think I'm just putting it on wrong. But then, like, Dave was like, I had to go. We were going up this fucking hill, and
your tire had to be like half inflated because
there
otherwise it would pop.
Yeah, because it was
like half flat, like going up a hill.
I was like on a flat tire going up this hill, and Dave's like, go. You know, he's so fast. He was just like right next to me, going slow mo.
Dave is the world's best cheerleader for everyone, so nice. Honestly. So what are the things that you guys think about when you reflect on those moments with us?
God.
Tell us about us.
Like the camaraderie, the support. Support is a theme. Support.
Yeah, it is a theme. I didn't know if I was going to want to be part of the bike team at first.
Shit.
I hadn't.
It's all coming out.
The shade.
I had ridden with friends, like 1 or 2 friends, but I was like, I don't know about riding in a bigger group. And I went on some rides. Then finally I was like, okay, Amanda, you can come. Like, I guess
you vetted it for
I
me.
guess I'll stay. I'll stick
true.
with this.
I remember.
But I didn't invite Amanda right away because I didn't know if I was going to stick with it. And I was like, these people seem cool. I
remember
them.
your debut.
I know. Julia wasn't even there, I feel.
I think maybe I wasn't.
And everyone's like, who's this girl?
Yeah.
I'm like, I swear I can ride.
But that was fine. They had me. I couldn't. So
you weren't there that day either.
Well, I remember the first time I met you because I remember we were, I don't know where the fuck we were riding. We were
Hooters.
No, that was the second year.
That's our haunted Hooters ride.
We should bring that back.
Oh, I love that
So
ride.
just again for the audience, our haunted Hooters ride is when we would go through basically a forest preserve that leads into a cemetery, and then after we're done with the cemetery and giving all of our
but it's a historical cemetery.
Yes, Bachelor's Grove, I think it's called.
Yeah,
and then we give all of our love and we ask for just in our heads, just like, oh, please, like make a good bike season. And then we go to Hooters. Then we go to Hooters and we also pray to the Hooters God and be like, don't give us diarrhea.
Right. I think some of our rides got a little less focused around like Olive Garden, Hooters, aka things Adrian likes. And I got a little less excited when it was just like, no, we're going to ride 90 miles. We're going to ride this North Shore Century and we're just riding through factories and shit. I was like, this is a nightmare. But that was a big deal. For me, that was my first century. And I feel like it was like one of those things where I was having an awakening the whole time.
Adrian, you really stepped up over,
you did.
Over time. And I mean, even at the beginning, like you're like, I don't know how to ride a bike. No. Elizabeth told me to, so I'm going to show up and ride a bike.
And she told me wrong.
That became a big Cowalunga drama. But I would say even with the North Shore Century, that was like a really hard one because I had been riding and I've been riding for many years. And again, you guys.
Yeah, you're supposed to drop the awakenings.
We're gonna talk about our bike philosophy.
Yeah, you're supposed to do that.
This is the thing about biking or any kind of thing that's going to be athletically challenging, is that you can work your butt off. We were training every single weekend. We were training once during the week. We were all doing our own training on the outside of it, or because Adrian had a Peloton at that point, and I think I was just doing like running or whatever. But we were all going to give our best to this century, which was a little over 100 miles. I think 103 miles when you're all said and done. But so we're like riding. And the thing is that no matter how hard you train, no matter how much you read, no matter how much support you get from your friends and your family and everyone who's like in the sag wagon, you might just lose it. You might just like lose your shit. And the weather might be 85 degrees and you're just dead and tired. You might be like at mile 78 and just want to throw up and stop doing it.
Because it sucks.
It's because it's hard. It's hard. But like the thing that happened with the North Shore Century that was so amazing and I felt like made for movies was like, Adrian and I think Anita, were like the three of us were all struggling really badly. And Julia would come up to us and be like, look, we're already 75 miles or 80 miles in at that point. And Julia was like, we're just going to go 5 to 10 miles. and then we're going to stop. 5 to 10 miles.
I don't remember Julia struggling at all.
No,
I don't remember
I don't
her
remember that
pulling
either.
up alongside me and being like, "You okay? It's okay. It's okay."
But my point is that she was coaching us at that point, right?
Yeah,
like she was just like, she obviously saw us withering in the sun.
Well, and Seth got his special stretch thing.
I remember
Cramps,
Seth being hurt, and I was so fucking glad because it meant we pulled over and we just got to sit for a while we dealt with Seth being hurt. And then you fell off because you had your fucking clips. It was like the messiest biking.
We were messiest. We were like the Harlem Globetrotters.
The Harlem Globetrotters are good at what they do. I'm saying the opposite.
I think that we were good. We made it.
We finished. So Julia at this point is pulling over and just like being like, you guys are not gonna not finish this ride. I mean, that's basically like your attitude. Yeah. And she was just like, we're gonna go 5 miles. We'll stop. We'll go another 5 miles. We'll stop. And
I love stopping.
Same.
And the amount of calm that Julia had in her at that time, I was just like, because I'm so fucking embarrassing. I led this group. I was trying to train them, and like now we're in this mess, and I can't even as a captain can't even make it. Like I'm just like having these like internal monologues and like meltdowns, and just listening to Julia being like, "Look, you're just gonna do it." You're just gonna do it.
You're just gonna.
It's like there's not like we're not gonna question it. We're just gonna keep going, and then we start going. And I think me and Adrian and Anita end up in the back, and everyone else on our team has way surpassed us.
Yes,
because I think we were at the point where we were like, "Fuck this, we're quitting," and everyone was like, "You guys go," because it's just making it worse.
I think it was Elizabeth's like, "I'll wait for Adrian."
I think also it was like, it was almost at a point where you're just like having your friends supporting you actually was worse because you just felt really bad at that. Because now we're like at the last 10 miles or something. And we're riding up to the finish line. Adrian, me, and I think Anita was with us, right? Anyways, we were like just
wait. I think she's trying to say they waited for us to cross the finish line.
We showed up at the finish line
and played a special song, and we all went across together.
Yes, the whole team waited for us, and I thought that was like the greatest moment ever.
It was.
And I was like,
I think of that moment every time I hear Bohemian Rhapsody.
Yeah, because we were singing Bohemian Rhapsody, which whatever song takes you over the finish line is whatever song takes you over the finish line.
Yeah, it was amazing.
That's true.
Yeah. I mean, it was really like, I think this also is really important because Adrian and I have discussed this several times on our podcast, is that we never felt like as children that anyone like ever showed up for us. So seeing you guys at that finish line, like knowing that you guys did not cross it without us made me go, like, I just like, I'm going to get teary now. Because I'm just like, that feeling was just like,
and no one was mad.
No.
And I think that's the thing as a woman, right? You're like, especially someone who's had any trauma, right? You're just like always on alert for like who's mad because you did something wrong. And like everybody was just like happy to see us.
Yeah.
I mean, one thing I would say, like I know that the road trip Thelma and Louise are on is a little different, but it made me think about biking. It made me think about travel and like, how we do these things to like come to a new place, right? But, Elizabeth and I did the Ohio trip, right? 5 days. We crossed the entire fucking state, like 85. It was miserable. It was awful. But we would have, I would say, no shade to our families, but we'd look at each other and we'd be like, this is better. Just because at that time it had been like 2 years of COVID. Like it was like we really needed this like break. And I felt like every couple hours we're having these like big realizations about life and like what we were capable of. But the thing that I think is interesting is that like those just fade away. Like, like you can't access them forever though, which is the exact same reason why all of a sudden you're like riding 100 miles by yourself across Virginia, right? Because like you may have that realization in a moment. I mean, the biggest one I had was like we were going up this fucking hill. It was like a huge hill, like in
it was
Amish
like a
country.
triple tier. Oh. So like you went up this huge hill and then you're like it flattened out for like 2 seconds and then went up another hill.
And at this point we'd already ridden 1 million miles. It was like day 4.
Amish country.
I was so mad. And like in my head I was like, I will not ride up another fucking hill on this trip. And then my other head was like, but you can't control if there's more hills. And it felt so fucking deep. But like I can't access.
Like we stopped at the top of the hill and both of us were like, listen, I have some
Yes.
bike philosophy.
Yes. Because it was
I don't
that.
mean to tell you this
Yeah.
because it's embarrassing. This is our
Yeah.
live, laugh,
Yes.
love moment.
Yes. But my question is this just me? Can you guys access those lessons that you get from travel or from like long distance biking or for pushing yourself in a way like all the time? You only learn them once, Julia, and you're fine?
No, I mean, I don't know.
Teach me.
Well, I've been thinking about like Amanda and I realized at some point that we became friends through biking.
Mm-hmm.
Like we lived together. We shared an apartment. We were roommates, but like we met on Craigslist. We didn't know each other.
That's so sweet.
And I think at some point we were like, "You like biking? I like biking."
Let's
and we
bike.
just like started going on rides together. And yeah, like we really weren't friends before that. But the other story that like keeps coming to mind because it seems very like both supporting each other, mostly Amanda supporting me, and also sort of like Thelma and Louise-ish. Do you know where I'm going with this?
Is it Indiana?
No.
Oh, it's even better.
Then we get two stories.
Yeah. Well, I'll start and you can jump in
Okay.
when it's so. This was probably, I don't know, 5 years ago. Amanda and I were at this cocktail challenge event where like I was judging.
Oh, yeah.
And so like I was drunk because I had been judging this cocktail event.
She has to go
and
around and
like
drink all the
hadn't,
drinks.
hadn't had time to eat anything. And Amanda was drunk because she wanted to be.
Sounds right.
So we're biking home from, I don't know,
Oh my
downtown,
God.
River North or something. We're on Milwaukee. And we were okay to ride our bikes.
We were
like,
fine.
we were tipsy,
pros.
but we were okay to ride our
Pros.
bikes. We were fine. We're on Milwaukee at Ogden, stopped waiting for the light. This guy pulled up beside me, just like
BMW.
too close. BMW, too close to me, and startled me. And I lost my balance and just like tipped over slightly and like but caught myself on the car because he was that close.
Yeah, yeah.
And he got all aggressive.
Of course he did.
He's like,
got out of the car.
yeah, he's like, "Are you drunk? You shouldn't
I'm
be
calling the cops."
biking." I was like, "No, we're not drunk."
He lost his fucking
Yeah,
mind.
he got out, came around, stood in front of
and
me,
put his hand
so
in front of
I
her
couldn't
and was
go
like, I'm calling the
anywhere.
cops.
Oh, he's like, let me just
Yeah.
intimidate
And
this
I
bitch.
started laughing. I was like, "Call them if you want. We'll be gone. If they show up, we will be gone when they get here." So I think that's when he was like, "I'm going to stand in front of you."
Yeah.
And Amanda.
Then I like rode my bike around the other side because he had closed his door, his car door. He's at a
Didn't
red light, by
lock
the way.
it.
But so I go and I open his car door. In my mind, I'm like, what can I do to like startle him? And I'm like, oh, I can like open his car door, and like I didn't know what I was gonna do next, but I was gonna, like, it was like,
But it worked. Then he, like, came
freaked
over.
out because the car started going around him. And I think he felt like
Yeah, because the light had turned. He's
Yeah.
just stopped in the middle of Milwaukee Avenue.
This is some real Thelma and
know.
Louise shit.
What happened?
Amanda's
then
going to steal the car.
Well, I took off because I was like, I see what Amanda's doing.
like,
She's
"Go, Julia, go."
I told her.
I'll
She's
meet you at home.
Yeah, so I took off,
and then
I was like, I figured Amanda would be right behind me, but
he tries to get me. I like ride my bike around the back, but the car behind him was too close to his car, so I like clip my pedals and I face plant. And then he's on the phone with the cops. He's like, one just took off and one just face planted. And I was like, nope, my bike is fucked up. I am riding away. Like I am like boom, but I'm like riding away, and I make it home like maybe 10 minutes.
yeah,
after.
I was biking home and I kept looking back and I was like, maybe Amanda took a different route to like confuse him so he couldn't follow both of us. I don't know. She would think of this stuff, and she showed up and she's like, I mean, she had a black eye from this.
Oh
I
my
forgot about
God.
that.
Oh my God.
These bitches are wild. Their bike philosophy moments are much different than ours.
Ours is like, we can do hard things.
Yes.
I'm like,
There's
Amanda
like, we're gonna
will
call the
fuck
police.
someone up for me. That's
I will.
my
I would.
takeaway.
I honestly would. For sure.
I love that
I'm a
about
fighter. Fight, flight, freeze, fight.
She does.
So when you're upset with Amanda, this is when you access that information. You're like, I remember this day.
That's really
Yeah,
I like that.
Amanda shows up.
I do.
I love.
That is one of my favorite stories.
I love that.
I forget
Yeah.
about it.
It got real Thelma and Louise in that
It
one.
really did.
Now I feel like I'm like, oh, I've only helped Adrienne with her ex-husband's turtle tank.
That's true. That's true. No, but I do think from our bike team that like, and when did we start? I was in my late 30s, my mid
2016.
30s. I can't do that math.
I don't know.
Is that 7 years?
35.
Yeah, we've been friends for about 7 years. 8 years.
Anyway, I do feel like that was the first time in my life that I really like let people support me and like let myself feel very like embarrassed and like I tell my son this shit all the time. He does not listen to me, which is bullshit because I'm the coolest person he knows, literally. But I'm like, Max, like it took a lot of guts to show up every time knowing that you were the worst. Like for me, like I'm like, like I don't like being the worst at things like at all. And I was like, for me to keep doing it, I had to just be like, these people they don't hate me. They want to support me. Like they want me. I think it was like the first time in my life. And I think also because it was like active support, you know what I mean? Like you can see how it's all happening. Like someone's like, do you need to pull over? Or can I get you something to eat? Or like, I'm going to tell you something funny so you're not thinking about this. Like it's so much different.
12 times I was like, Adrian, why is your seat so low?
It's
too low. You need to raise your seat.
You would say that.
Yes, and you'd fix it. You'd stop and fix it.
I would be like, Julia, because of Elizabeth, obviously. Like I didn't arrange this fucking seat.
I also didn't arrange the seat.
I think it was just slipping down all
I think it was like something was wrong with the bike. But
yes.
Still.
Yes.
Yeah, no, I agree. Active support is a really interesting thing because we don't really talk about that much. When you talk about friendships, a lot of times you're talking about like, oh, hugs and kisses and I know how you feel and I have to hold space for you, that kind of bullshit. But having someone who's like actively in your life being like, I'm going to pick this up for you. Yeah. I'm going to like adjust your seat. That's a completely different kind of show of love.
Well, and I'd always been that person to like everybody else. Right. Not you guys, but like I would. You have. I'm just saying at this time in our life, like I'd always been that for like my kid, my family, like everybody else. I was always the fucking one that was like actively doing things. No one was doing shit for me.
Yeah.
No.
My friend Carmen, I just had this whole thing because Carmen and I have been friends for a long time and she's been going through a lot of stuff over the last few years and she has always like kind of leaned on me for emotional support, which I love doing because I love her. But she always says to me that she doesn't give me anything back in the same way. But like when I did this ride in Virginia, she like helped set up the hotel room. As a matter of fact, she like used her points to have the hotel room. Yeah. She drove me from like to the finish line she picked me up at the finish line. She drove me to my mother's. Like she was really being active in that moment, and I was like, this is interesting because I forget sometimes that other people can help you, and it's just kind of to your point about like what you access and what you forget easily is I forgot that feeling of being that way because it's been a while since we've all ridden a long distance ride because after COVID things kind of fell apart a little bit. But that's, what a gift. What a gift that we get to experience and like be part of, and give to each other because I actually really enjoy all of that too.
It really is.
I prefer it when we're going to like Hooters. I said to her, because listen, I've said to all of you, I don't even know if I like biking, but but I said to her earlier, I was like, if you guys want me to ride with you, like there needs to be like a carrot at the end. Those are my happiest rides when like there's something exciting happen, then I'm like, okay, fine, because we're going to go to Hooters. I'm going to get some curly fries once a year. We're going to rock it out. And it lights me up.
I get it.
Yeah.
I would also say about like accessing lessons. I'm sorry, I'm just still on this thing because I went when I did my ride in Virginia. I was like, what the fuck is the lesson? And when I got to like mile 85, I was like, oh yeah, I remember now. I fucking hate this.
Wait, that's the lesson? That wasn't.
That was not the lesson. I'm very glad that I did it. I'm very proud of myself. It took me a lot of time afterwards, but I think when we did Ohio, Adrian and I did Ohio, we rode 330 miles, right, in these like couple of days. And then the first thing that we both said to each other when we came out of like showering and going on our walk to have dinner was we were both like, we're both really fucking fat. Like to ourselves, not to each other.
No, because the way our hotel rooms were set up was like if you were in the shower, there were mirrors like fucking everywhere. And, we had to wash our legs. That's my worst. Nobody wants to see me like bent over, like washing something, and then you look up and then you're like, oh no.
I hate that. You just bike so far.
Well, yes, it was awful. It was awful.
We talked about that, like, because immediately I was like, Adrian, I know we just did this incredible thing, but I'm really fat. And she was like the same thing. And I was like, then we both like kind of had to shake it out of ourselves to be like,
I think that's a lesson we learned though, and that stuck.
That you do, yeah, because I don't think that I feel that self.
No, we haven't
mean to
talked
me.
that way
But
in years.
Yes, but that was like a big thing because that was like, here's this incredible feat that two women completely alone with no support and no one there to help us if something happened. Except my husband who picked us up. Shout out to Mike, the real hero of the trip. But that it was like a real kick in the ass of like, wow, you two are real dicks to yourself.
Yes,
you
that's
know?
true. That was a big lesson.
Yeah, and then I also think like I often actually think about us on that fucking hill. I think about it all the time. I think about you guys like waiting for us at the finish line, and I think that those moments are so dramatic and they're so big that they're easier to access than when I think about like the fact that I had a baby and I got through a divorce, you know? I do. What? No, this is what I'm saying. Like,
those are pretty big dramatic things.
They are big and dramatic, but there are things that I kind of like, it's easier for me to brush off. Whereas like this physical activity is something that alone is hard for me to do. Like running and being physical is like it's a challenge. So I think those times feel a little bit more movie-esque, but no one's making movies about like a sad woman who finds out that her bank account is empty right before she goes on a maternity leave. No one's making that movie.
But I think they would make that movie for you, especially if you like got a cool car and like, you know, had a cool friend. Like,
what do you think your challenge is in accessing those moments?
I don't fucking know, you know, because I prefer to revert to my, you know, things where I think bad things about myself. It's well, no, that is a default. Like if something bad happened or whatever, I would be like, well, this is my fault, you know, for sure. But I think, you know, my real like issue is that like I'll get very existential and there's a very familiar path, a worn path of a spiral down that is always the same stuff, you know, and a lot of times once it gets triggered, it's like, okay, I've made all the wrong decisions. Look at all the wrong decisions I've made and how they've turned out. And then, it, you know, I keep going down to the bottom.
Going back to the therapy theme a little bit. So like yesterday before we watched the movie, I had an EMDR therapy session.
Oh.
And I was a little worried, just like I wasn't sure what my brain was going to be doing.
Was it your first one?
No, it was my third one. So then like it was fine. I watched the movie, enjoyed the movie, and then like I lay down to go to sleep and my brain's like, here are all the things, like I had been talking about, like family stuff. And it's like, here are all the things that you were actually upset about. And like, we did that, my brain and I, for a little while. And then it was like, but you have these friends who like give you all this stuff. And then I just like thought about that for a while. And I mean, I'm sure the movie helped me, but I don't know. I might have gotten there anyway, but it's like, all right, it doesn't matter like what your family does or doesn't do. Like you have friends who like are proud of you and love you and support you just all the time. And it was actually like a really great moment.
Oh, Julia.
That makes me so happy.
Me too.
It also makes me go, well, that's a great point to end on.
Aww.
So we're going to have to wrap it up, ladies.
do?
This is like a
Okay.
great episode. As usual, I love being with you two.
Wait,
Let's talk about...
no,
please.
go ahead.
No, please. No, we share the same brain.
No.
I would really love
Were
it if
you
going
going to ask everybody for the...
Yes,
okay.
ma'am. Go ahead.
No.
No, you do it,
No.
please.
No.
One of you fucking say it.
No.
So we like to finish up with some final thoughts and maybe some recommendations for similar films that might have inspired you to do that.
In the
like
oeuvre
so
of road trips.
we'll let Adrian get. We'll start with you.
Sure. Sisterhood of the Traveling Pants. No, I'm just kidding.
Did you see my mouth just drop to the floor? I was like,
you looked very concerned.
I was like, is she serious?
No. To be honest, give me a road trip film. What is one?
Oh, a road trip, Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas.
Yeah, I don't care
yeah.
about that. I don't
Yeah,
want
that's
that.
another one.
That's men being dicks. No.
Yeah.
Jeepers Creepers.
That sounds scary. No. I mean, yeah, I could do Priscilla, Queen of the Desert.
Yeah.
You
Tu-
know,
Tu
or
Wong
Tu Wong
Fu.
Fu. Listen,
Yeah.
if there's a drag queen, I'm there.
Yes.
Yeah.
But also female friendships. What about?
Yeah. I was thinking about this. What are some good movies?
Well,
We watched Beaches. We can't relitigate Beaches.
No.
And I don't know that was a friendship one should aspire to. Do you know what I mean?
Yes, like
Yeah.
Do you guys? Because I have a couple of.
Go ahead.
My two that I kept thinking about was Waiting to Exhale, which we did last season.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know, because those
were
ladies were
friends.
definitely there to support
Yeah.
each other, and I love.
Yeah.
I'm always there for any kind of female rage. It's one of my favorite things.
I mean, that was great when she beats up the car. We
Yeah,
love
and
that.
my other one was Set It Off, which is Queen Latifah.
Yeah.
Love Latifah.
And oh my god, I can't remember her name right now. But there are like four bank robbers that are like they basically Veronica. Oh, what's her last name? Oh. But anyways, one of the characters ends up getting fired from a bank, and then they all end up in this janitorial team.
Oh, and they're going to rob it.
Yeah, well, they have this whole conversation of like how the world is fucking them over, and how these men are being shitty to them, and then they rob banks. And
This is a real theme. We had 9 to 5, Set It Off.
9 to 5 was great too.
But I'm just saying, there's all these men being terrible to women, and this was years and years and years ago, and we're just like, well, here we are.
We were like relatable.
I mean, I think when I watched those movies, I was just like, yeah, this is the way the world is.
Yeah.
Not that we should change it. I didn't really think about it. I was just like, yeah, you can't dance with Harlan. That's on you. It's not good. It's not good. Yeah.
On that note, either one of you.
I think. What, you got a friendship movie? You got a road trip movie?
Man, I don't know. My mind just goes blank when I'm asked to come up with anything.
I do that
so
too.
There's that. But when you said Sisterhood of the Traveling Pants, wasn't there a movie Now and Then?
Yes.
Oh my God! Now and
Natalie
then.
Portman.
I
right?
want to watch that again.
Yeah.
Christina Ricci.
Yeah.
And Thurch Birchwood. Irma Birchwood.
Oh, all right. Oh, Little Miss Sunshine is a good road trip
Oh,
movie.
yeah, that's a good one. Yeah,
They're in that fucking bus.
What about Booksmart? People, I know that people are.
That's not a
listening,
road
like-
trip movie. It's
It's not. It's a
friendship.
friendship movie. It's
I do
like female
that.
friendship.
I like
yeah.
that movie a
I like
lot.
that
Yeah.
movie.
Yeah.
Amanda, do you have any recommendations?
God damn it, Amanda! Think of something.
I wish I would have taken a note.
Friends. Any friends. Oh, I have one that no one saw that everyone should see immediately. It's called Brian and Charles.
Oh, you love that one. I remember you and Max loved it.
So Brian is this guy. He's in like the English countryside, and I think he's gotten recently divorced, and he's sad and he's alone. And like one day he starts building this robot, and the robot and his body is a washing machine, and then he has this tiny little head, and he puts a cardigan on him because they're British, and the robot becomes kind of sentient, and he sees like a name of an author on a book, and then he names himself Charles Petrescu. It's like an inside joke between me and my kid. Anyway, it is the sweetest fucking movie.
Okay.
You will love it, and you will cry your eyes out.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah. Are you guys going to watch it or no?
I already forgot what it's called.
Yeah, I was going to say no one looks.
Brian and Charles.
Brian and Charles. Okay.
Literally, no one looks like they're going to watch this.
I'll
That's
watch
fine.
it. I'll watch
I
it.
will. No, because I wanted to watch it when
Yeah.
it came out.
It was on something free.
Anyone who likes old movies, you can watch any kind of Apple Dumpling Gang.
What the fuck is that?
That was Don Knotts and who was? Why is my today? It's been a long day, you guys.
Yeah.
But they're like two best friends who are like cowboys in the westerns.
No one has heard of this.
Yes. Well, all right. Well, no one ever
fine.
hears anything that I ever watch. Anyone here of cruising?
All right. We're still trying to bring cruising back.
Thanks for listening to Don't Ruin This For Me. Special thanks to the Lincoln Lodge and our producer, Christine Ferreira, and our RV toting tough muffer, Miss Jessica Savage.
She's abandoned us to drive around in a fucking RV.
I know.
Yeah, she's our graphic designer. Anyway, are you guys looking for more Adrian and Elizabeth?
Yes.
Always.
I looked at them expectantly. So you guys, I think you're subscribers.
Yes.
Right. Okay. You can check out our Substack newsletters. Mine's called Where the Fuck's My Happy Ending? And Elizabeth's is called Mixed Race Tape. And you can follow the pod on Instagram at Don't Ruin This Pod.
Come
We
back.
haven't posted anything.
I know we haven't posted.
We're gonna.
But wait, once we start releasing the
Elizabeth's
episodes, you guys,
nipples.
we've had a rough season.
true.
Okay, come back next week and we'll finally get some boom Tom Cruise in the movie Cocktail with our friend Danny Shapiro, who owns the Scofflaw and Moonlighter and lots of like great cocktail places around the city.
We're gonna learn about cocktails from Tom. And from the primary cocktail guy in Chicago.
Yes.
We love it. And don't forget to support middle-aged women's voices. Obviously, after this episode, you want to. You should support us. You can rate and review Don't Ruin This for Me on your favorite podcast app.
Drive over the cliff.
Yeah, listen, if you give me that look and say, like, let's go, fine. I'll drive
I feel like the four of us, though, we're all definitely going over the cliff.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Wait, who's driving? Me still?
Adrian.
I think you or Julia. I think that was the right pick.
Feel,
yeah.
We are the responsible ones.